Hello everybody. Welcome back to the channel where we talk about stuff. The last time we had news like this, we heard that Fidelity and BlackRock together, I think it was over 240,000 Bitcoin. I think that was somewhere around that number, if I can remember correctly. It's quite difficult literally absorbing as much news as there currently is. The assumption that I have is that this accumulation, one, is of course absolutely insane. But I think it's helping more people to really understand what I've been saying over the last couple of years. Rich people have always been buying Bitcoin. This isn't really anything new per se, but I think a lot of these numbers are quite staggering in that I think it's helping us finally get to the situation where millions, if hopefully not billions of people can finally come to terms with the fact that they're still early in the market. And I say that from the perspective of I come into contact with people all the time and have been for a number of years where if I discuss Bitcoin with someone, one of a few things ends up happening. It's either this euphoric, like, hey, help me make money kind of thing, which is more common than you would imagine. Indifference, cool, whatever. Or this kind of like, well, how does it do this? Well, how does it do that? Where's the price going? I don't believe you. Are you sure that it can kind of go there? And I understand that it's because it's coming from the perspective of someone talking into a microphone in my room about Bitcoin. And if you don't have much knowledge on the subject, you won't really, of course, get that far until you really learn more about the market. But I think news like this hitting the actual, I don't really care for the term like mainstream media. I think it's excessively overused. But popular news channels does have an extreme effect on how people perceive Bitcoin. Because once again, if I'm saying something, if I'm screaming into the microphone, if I'm telling you for literally hundreds of videos at this point to buy Bitcoin 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago, it doesn't really get that far. But when you hear the actual levels of accumulation and also like a lot of these price predictions that we're getting for Bitcoin, I think it put things into a much clearer perspective. I need everyone to really get it through their heads. And I don't know if you want to hear this, but you're going to hear this. We, you, me, we're extremely early in this market. Where we are earlier than billions and billions and billions of people. I've mentioned in other videos, the guesstimates right now is that there are anywhere between 50 to 100 million people into Bitcoin. I think we recently passed some kind of 100 million milestone when it comes to wallets. I think that's what it was. But people have multiple different wallets, so there's no clear way to decipher how many people are actually. That's kind of what one of the ideas. We can go off of crypto exchange data and other things like that, how many wallets there are, how many, we can't see like all the KYC and AML data, but guesstimates, that's kind of the idea. We still do not have 1 billion people in this market. There's still not a billion people. There's still not 500 million people into crypto. When you have the perception getting into this market, having been here now, a year ago, 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, that you're late or that there's not much more that you can do, you're completely wrong. You're completely, absolutely correct. Because as it stands right now, Bitcoin is more or less here to stay. It's not disappearing anytime soon. It is going to be with us for decades and decades and decades to come, if not over a century, as the whole mining thing, what have you. I give you that perspective just to let you know that this is only the beginning. It's not meant to strike fear in your heart. It's not meant to give you any kind of FOMO. It's not meant to make you go, oh my gosh, I have to buy right now. But I want you to really kind of get it through your heads. that what's coming is going to be absolutely insane and that you're going to be a part of it. You are going to be here for this cycle, and that's if the cycle even ends, and you are going to really understand what we've been talking about for a very long time. The introduction of these companies into this space shocked the living daylights out of me because I mentioned before, I did not expect us to get this far this early. I thought we had a good 10, 15, 20 years left before we had any like levels of legitimacy like we currently have from these larger institutions. The number of coins that they're buying up, I don't want to use the term worrying, but I want other people to really begin to start to pay attention. I know a couple of people who still, as far as I know, do not own any crypto. They don't own any Bitcoin. And I've gotten to the point in my life where I don't want to lead a horse to water. I don't want to lead a friend to crypto and then they don't take a sip. They don't understand because they don't want to understand. And I'm almost terrified for the current future that I see happening, where we're going, and for my friends who don't have any crypto, and I'll even extend that a lot further, for my friends who don't have any investments, who don't have any assets and things like that before. That's another topic entirely. We're not going to get into that one. But it's more of a, having been in this space for so long, I can see the trends. They're written on the wall. It's not difficult to decipher. It's one thing for me and you to be in this market, to talk every single day about what's going on, but to see these entities amassing this amount of Bitcoin, and I'll say this as one of the final thoughts, lets me understand that I thought not only are we early, but whatever, I think we're just at the very beginning of the madness that's going to actually ensue. The news that came out, for those of you who might have missed it, I'm sure there's far too much news happening right now. The news that we had before was that BlackRock and Fidelity had around 200,000 something Bitcoin. And I remember saying in a video that we're probably going to get to, by the time we get to the end of summer, we're going to see like crazy accumulation numbers. The news that just came out, BlackRock alone, BlackRock by themselves, the story has changed. Remember, months ago, it was all 9 ETFs. And then it became the top 5 ETF news. And that's quickly whittled down to BlackRock and Fidelity, BlackRock and Fidelity, Fidelity and BlackRock, BlackRock and Fidelity. The story now is just BlackRock. Keeping in mind, Fidelity's still accumulating. They still have a massive amount of Bitcoin. They're not slowing down either, but BlackRock is accelerating. BlackRock now holds 243,130 Bitcoin. We went over this. Yes, that's exactly what it was. We went over this before because we had news about MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy, for those of you who missed it, 3 or 4 times this year already announced that they were going to be buying more Bitcoin, and they got over 204,000 Bitcoin, and they were on par with BlackRock. BlackRock now has 243,000 Bitcoin, and that's been over the course of, it's been 2 months, 2.5 months, somewhere around that. I don't know the exact time frame anymore. Time is a mystery to me. If this continues, and I believe that it will, their buying is going to hyper directly cause Bitcoin's price to pump. Not small movements, but gigantic movements in price. The amount that they're buying already is obscene. I personally, this is me as someone who has been in this market, someone who has had this channel and both channels, and I really want crypto to spread to the masses, to the masses, to the masses, to the masses, not to the riches, not to the people at the very, 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 very top. I would have loved to have seen those 243,130 Bitcoin sprinkled across several 100 million people so that as we do hit these crazy price valuations in the future, that everyone can kind of benefit. but people will get into the market. It's just that they'll only be able to hold fragments of Satoshis in the future. Another conversation entirely as well. If BlackRock continues on the current trend that they're on, they are going to have over 1 million Bitcoin before we get to autumn. I say October. And that's a hard October. They're going to have over 1 million Bitcoin. And that's one company. That's not the Fidelity. That's not the other 7 companies. That's not including MicroStrategy. Where I think we currently are is going to be in the history books in the future as the moment that time actually shifted, where people kind of realize it was a good time to buy Bitcoin. I got into the market at the right time. It's weird when I sometimes meet people, or even people who I know who just have refused to buy Bitcoin. When we talk about the market, when they see the prices going up, I always get these messages when I meet people, they go, wow, you got into the market at such a good time. And I try and tell them now's still a good time. They go, I think it's been way too long. And it's because of the lack of the news. It's because of the lack of the seeing what's been going on. If you get this news daily, you get it. You're understanding what's happening. 10 years from now, you are going to meet people who are going to ask you when you got into the market. And you'll tell them, I got in 2018, 2019, and their jaw's going to collapse. And they're going to be like, you got in at such a good time. Bitcoin will probably be over $1 million at that point, and the idea that Bitcoin is going to 100 million won't even enter their heads. There's a chart of it somewhere. I obviously don't have it here, but there's a chart. It just popped into my head. There's a chart that shows it's like the adoption rate of the internet comparative to Bitcoin and where we currently are. And I think it's going to take, it's estimated to take about a good 20 to 25 to 30 years for Bitcoin to currently get to the current level where we are now of adoption for the internet. We still live on a planet where there are actually, I think it's 2 billion people who don't have access to the current financial system and the current internet that we have. We are going to live in a world in a decade where 1.5 billion people are in this market, and they're going to say how lucky you were. The next 2 billion people get on board, and they're going to tell those friends, look at how lucky you were. It's an incredible time to be in market and to be at the beginning of a market. I don't think there's ever been, as far as I can tell off the top of my head, do you know where we are historically? If all of this takes off, if all of this works, if this cryptocurrency experiment pans out, you are the early adopter of the next phase of currency. Imagine being one of the first people to use the US dollar, to use the euro as well, to use the yen, to be on this ladder and to see this evolution of this new form of currency that we see taking off. The perception is always, and I think it has something to do with keeping up with the Joneses. The perception is always that them across the street, they have so much more. The grass is totally greener. You don't realize how lucky you are. Do you understand where you are even in this market cycle? You've gotten here before the 3 month after the halving, the 6 month and the 9 month after the halving push. You are early. It's not 2025. It's not 2027. It's not 2028. It's not 2035. If BlackRock continues to accumulate at these levels, they're going to hold over 1 million Bitcoin, and that's going to send the price really high. That's going to cause other companies and people to also get into the space. Bitcoin's going to be unobtainable for billions of people. I just saw another thing. So, the number that we were always getting before was that if Bitcoin was evenly spread out, it should be 0.003 Bitcoin. There was a guy, he did the numbers, and he's like, based on the amount that we currently have, each person on the planet could, if it was evenly distributed, have 0.0026 Bitcoin. If you are holding 0.002, that's 260,000 Satoshis. You have as much as any other human could ever have if it was equally distributed. If you have 1,000,000 Satoshis, you are doing better than billions of people on the planet. Billions. Billions of people can literally never have more than that. If you have 1/10 of a Bitcoin, think of that. Billions of people will never, ever, 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 ever be able to own as much Bitcoin as you have. You are early. Earlier than you could possibly perceive in your mind. Your mind can't wrap itself around that you are at the beginning, and I don't want to use the term revolution. You're at the beginning of the shift. It's the year 2024. I'll tell you a quick story, and then we'll be done with it. I forget sometimes how far ahead we are in the future. I mean, but besides people rolling around on these like electric scooters and self-driving cars, I forget when I see people walking into metros, like into metro subway stations, and they tap their phone. People tap their phones, and you unlock your phone with your face. We're in the future. I know it sounds crazy because you look around and you see like the same streets and the same buildings, or maybe you don't. Maybe you see these like crazy skyscrapers. Do you know where we're going to be in 10 to 15 years? If all of this works out, you know how much money you're going to have from this market? And I don't want to use the term envious, people will be of you, thinking that you got in early and you just happened to pop into the market because you were like, okay, cool, let's do it. Very fascinating time to be alive, to be on the planet, to see all of this that's currently happening. This accumulation is not going to stop. Not by them and not by you. The halvings, the next 3 halvings are going to send shockwaves through the entire financial world. And this is why I think it's really weird that BlackRock and Fidelity entering the space was not that it was downplayed, but it didn't get the attention that it should have gotten, because this means crypto's here forever. We are going to live in a world with crypto. We are going to live in the world where the demand continues to increase and Bitcoin's price goes higher and higher. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the news of when BlackRock has over 300,000. You understand that this company got into the space the 11th of January? 11th of January. 243,130 Bitcoin. Just imagine where we are going to be exactly a year from now. I do sincerely hope that you have all enjoyed. I do hope that you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever the heck you might be. I do hope it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.